Hi, I'm Roger Pine from Holistiplan. This is our Winning with Holistiplan series, and I'm here with Penny Phillips. She is the president and co-founder of Journey Strategic Wealth. Penny, it's such a pleasure to get to talk with you today. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And we were chatting a little bit before the call. This one will be an interesting one because a few of the other calls that we've done have been advisors who were like really deep in Holistiplan and they've uploaded 1,000 tax returns in Holistiplan. And that's a whole other type of conversation. You're more on the helping advisors be the best possible advisors they can be side of things. And so that's what I'm interested in doing too. I mean, that's why we started our company. We're just attacking this problem from different areas. So I think there's plenty we'll be able to talk about there. But first, maybe you could just fill me in on the history of Journey, on you, and then how you came to co-found Journey Strategic Wealth. And then I also understand that y'all have a whole other practice on the other side of helping advisors be the best advisors they can be.
Sure. And we, Journey Strategic Wealth recently became Holistiplan users and we love the tool. And so I can talk also about how we've integrated that into our core tech stack. But I'll take you to the beginning. So people who know my story already, it'll be a little bit repetitive, but I've spent my career as a advisor, coach, and consultant. And so prior to founding Journey, I ran a coaching and consulting company. And what I started to notice, Roger, the last, I'd say 5 years versus the last 10 in coaching independent advisors is that the conversation started to shift from help me build an efficient practice or enterprise within the BD or captive firm that I'm in and help me maximize all the tools and resources that are at my disposal here to, hey, wait a second, maybe this is an opportunity for me to go independent and try to build something where I can maximize enterprise value and sort of build what I've always wanted to build. And so it's a unique challenge to coach folks, not just on building a business, but on going independent and doing it completely from scratch with 1,000 different options available to them. And so, I started to notice that, wow, like we're only at the tip of the independent and now sort of move to RIA wave in our industry. And so I was running this coaching and consulting business, helping advisors build and merge and really make big strategic decisions about their business. And the pandemic hits, and I took a leap of faith. This is an idea I'd had for quite some time. I approached a couple folks who really good friends and advisors of mine in the business and said, well, we've always talked about building a firm that I felt filled a gap that existed in the industry. And so we built it. Journey Strategic Wealth is an RIA. Obviously, we offer full operational and practice management support to advisors. And the reason we're different, Roger, is because if you think about the options that exist in the independent space for advisors and the rhetoric that we've pushed as an industry, we've told advisors the way you are successful is if you step into the CEO role. Right? Like every single firm and every consultant tries to train advisors on how to be CEOs. And so advisors have it in their mind that, okay, I need to eventually replace myself as rainmaker and advisor, step into this CEO position, own my own business, do that really successfully, and figure out how to monetize and find successors and all the things. And so when advisors do that, the options for them are tack on to a firm, access some resources, and own your own business and build it how you want. Or sell your business and become an employee of a company. And I have a lot of thoughts on that model and how we're almost coming full circle back to sort of Wirehouse model. But and so there wasn't really an option that allowed advisors to explore the balance between independence, flexibility, and support. And so we've tried to combine all of the benefits of every model that exists. So offering advisor support, helping them build their business, allowing them to maintain 100% equity ownership in their business for as long as they want, no restrictive covenants in their contracts. and really working with them in a practice management consulting engagement, if you will, when they're with us to help them grow and evolve and hire and make smart decisions about their business. And so, our whole mission is that advisors, there's never been a more important time than now to be an advisor. And so we want to help advisors double down on doing what they do best, which is advising
Hmm.
and not wearing all the C-suite executive hats that exist in the independent business space.
Yeah. As you were talking, it reminded me of I used to be an advisor myself before starting Holistiplan. And I had all these doctor clients, right? And they're thrown into a similar situation, right? They go to all this training to be medical professionals, years of it. And then they're like, okay, go be the CEO of this company with 50 employees and it's
Exactly.
like, wait a minute, I didn't get any training and that wasn't what I was here to do. And that wasn't their passion
Right.
when they went into medicine. It's a similar thing. And you're totally right. Like advisors, we're in the same camp. I mean, some really enjoy the process of growing the business. And of course they have other sets of tools available to them. But yeah, you're filling a need for those whose gifts are elsewhere, I would say, or whose proclivities are elsewhere, at least at that stage of their career. I would imagine they could graduate to a point where it's like, you know what, I'm ready to take on this mantle now.
Correct. But even I'll give you a very specific example because we try to balance that. Like, we don't want to take all the control away from the advisor because if you've built a successful practice up until this point, you've done it because clearly you can build something.
Hmm.
And so we want to honor that. But here's a very simple example. The decision, if you've built an independent practice or you've tacked onto a firm and you're leveraging some of their compliance and investment management resources, like, I don't believe it should be the advisor's responsibility to make the decision on looking at all the fintech providers out there, deciding which one should be added to the lineup, which one shouldn't, figuring out how to actually contract, integrate. Like, that should be our job to come to advisors and say, look, in the last survey we did with all your clients, they expressed a desire to have this value add resource added. Holistiplan is as an example. I mean, this is exactly what we did. Like, you haven't heard of Holistiplan. We love it. We vetted it. We want you to test it out with your clients and we'll get you signed up and integrated. Like, that should be our job. So
Mm,
it's that balance of honoring the advisor as leader and person who knows client best, but also making it really easy for them to integrate resources into their practice.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure, yeah, like you said, post COVID was a perfect time because everything had to be, we had to look at everything, especially in tech stacks, about how we approach our businesses during COVID. So the timing was perfect in that sense. All right. Well, I was going to ask something else, but we might as well go into the segue to technology is there. So how do you, so you're in this position where you are helping advisors evaluate technology investments. I know it's maybe an overly broad question, but how do you do that? And maybe to put a little more color behind it, there's always new stuff.
Yeah.
There's the stuff that you have to have, like the CRM and your portfolio management system. But then there's new stuff, and we were new just a few years ago, so we're an
Yeah.
example. And there's always this: do you want to be an early adopter, and does that allow you to differentiate with your clients, or is being an early adopter take away from your ability to focus? How do y'all advise the clients on building the tech stack, and then especially when it comes to things like new technology or new approaches to addressing problems with technology?
It's a great question. It's a deep question. So I'll answer it a bunch of different ways, as I always do. So, one of the, I think, great things about our model is the advisor can always come to us with, like, hey, found this tool or saw this and I'm interested in it. What do you think? But the
Hmm.
reality is myself and the rest of the leadership team, like, we're out in the field. I mean, I'm at every single conference. I'm engaged with many of the fintech providers. I worked at Investnet, so my background is in fintech. So I tend to be the one to sort of have an ear to the industry and say, like, here's what's coming out, here's what's out, what do you think? And getting feedback from our advisors. We're the ones who actually go out and license and contract, so advisors don't have to worry about, building tech or adding tech within their practices. It's our job to be in tune with how each of our partner teams are uniquely serving clients so that we can come to them with, like, hey, Holistiplan would be perfect for you, Biz Equity might be perfect for you, et cetera. The thing I'd say about your sort of bigger question about how do you make the decision, we're really clear. So obviously we're clear on our value to advisors, right? Helping them, not just providing them resources to build, but actually implementing the initiatives for them. We're also really clear on our value to clients, and this is a really important point for advisors that I've been talking about for a long time. The industry has used the terms investment management and wealth management interchangeably for a really long time. And what's happened is the consumer doesn't know the difference. They don't know the difference between a financial planner, a wealth management advisor, a financial advisor, an insurance agent, a broker to some extent. And so it's our responsibility not just to teach clients, like, hey, there's a lot of advisors out there. Here's what we do, and here's what you might get elsewhere. Here's what you're probably getting elsewhere, and here's what we offer. Now, to validate that value proposition, you actually have to prove that during your engagements. So for us, when we think about tech, we think about what is going to help us prove value propositions. If our value proposition is, well, and we have a graphic, wealth management is investment management, it's risk planning, it's emotion management, it's tax planning, it's life decision management. We need to have tools that show that we do all of that. And so when I think about what tools to bring to our advisors, like, it is all of the stuff that fits into each of those buckets. The challenge sometimes within the fintech space is there are tools that do, I mean, you folks are an outlier. There are tools that do sort of relatively the same thing, or maybe things slightly different. And then it's really a judgment call on where would the client have the best client or customer experience, and that's ultimately how we make our decision. But for anyone listening, it's, if you need to prove wealth management services, because the decision now is lowest cost or highest value, if you have to prove highest value, you need to use the tools that are going to help you show that.